This is Earth, the planet and solar system that we live on. However, our planet is not good path for continuing to sustain life. The Earth is facing the accelerating detrimental effects of climate change, also referred as to global warming. Well, what exactly is climate change? Climate change is defined as a long-term change in the Earth's temperature with massive and permanent ramifications. Climate scientists believe that this is not caused naturally by the earth but by human activity. Earth's atmosphere consists of gases, oxygen and nitrogen, and other gases known as greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and methane. Incoming light from the sun hit the earth's surface. The earth absorbs some of that energy, heating the surface of the planet. The rest of the energy gets reflected. Some of that energy goes back on into space. The greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide trap the energy and send it right back to the earth's surface. Heat up even more. This is known as the greenhouse effect, natural to the earth and is a good thing to have, but a large greenhouse effect can be catastrophic, causing a lot of energy to stay in our atmosphere and heat up the earth at an accelerating rate. Some of the main human activity that that emits greenhouse gases are fossil fuel burning, animals agriculture, and deforestation. Recycle pollution burning, fossil fuel like coal, oil, and natural gases as well as gasoline for some of the largest pollutants of carbon emissions. Not only that, but when fossil fuels are burned and their gas is mixed with heat, they create smoke, a thick air pollutant that is highly toxic. For example, blazing smoke is so thick and heavy that you cannot go outside without some form of surgical mask or breathing filter. The massive amounts of excrement produced by livestock farms emit toxic gases such as hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, and methane into the air. Methane is 23 times more effective at trapping heat than carbon dioxide, and roughly 80% of these emissions in the US come from animal waste. Over 56 billion animals are globally raised every year for food purpose. That's 8 times more than the human population and 8 times as much waste, adding emissions to our atmosphere. Land used for growing animal feed and raising animals for food use are staggering 30% of the earth's land mass in 2006. The food production industry has only increased since 7 football fields worth of land is bulldozed every minute to create more room for farmed animals in the crop that feed them. Bulldozing land and deforestation not only emits greenhouse gases but it gets rid of plants, trees, and forests, the things of our planet that exactly absorb carbon dioxide. The more we deforest our earth, the less carbon dioxide it can absorb from our atmosphere. Solid waste landfills are some of the largest pollutants of methane gas in the United States. The average person produces 4.3 pounds of trash per day. That's 1,569 pounds of trash per year for one person. With the 7 plus billion people that live on the globe, that's 11.6 trillion pounds of trash dumped into landfills every year. But how do we know that our human activity is the causes of accelerate climate change and not the earth's natural process? Our civilizations produced a devastating 40 billion tons of carbon dioxide last year, which equal 700 trillion cubic feet of carbon dioxide. That's a little more than 100 Mount Everest of carbon dioxide. It's enough carbon dioxide to fill the entire Grand Canyon. 5 times of it's the equivalent of 19 million Empire State Buildings. The largest natural pollutant of the earth are volcanoes. If we take the largest scientific estimate of carbon emissions produced by volcanoes every year, that's 500 million tons of volcanic carbon dioxide. That's not even 2% of the nearly 40 billion tons of carbon dioxide that our civilizations produced over the course of thousands of years. Our climate goes to a cycle of carbon dioxide being absorbed and released into the atmosphere. But once the industrial revolution kicked in, burning fossil fuels became the necessity of manufacture and production plants, and the carbon dioxide levels shot up volatilely have not slowed down. Since the earth has not seen this much carbon dioxide in atmosphere for millions of years, our planet with the greenhouse effect is like a bathtub being filled with more water than it can drain. Eventually, it will fill up with more than it can handle. But why should we care about global warming and climate increasing? The Earth's temperature has risen 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit over the past century and is projected to rise another 0.5 to 8.6 degree Fahrenheit over the next 100 years. Animals and plant life are struggling to adapt to this condition for survival. If even one species goes extinct, it can create a domino effect with the food chain. No living plants and animals means no living human. Raising temperature makes the Earth's ocean become warmer, which causes something known as ocean acidity, which arise the acid levels in the oceans from the carbon dioxide reacting with the salt water. Ocean acidification harms animal life and is what's causing the death of the Great Barrier Reef. This is a problem because about 1 billion people use ocean life as their main source of protein. Since the oceans are becoming warmer, the polar ice caps are melting, which has caused almost 65% of the polar ice caps to melt. Since 1979, the Earth loses on average 400 billion tons of ice each year. That's like a giant block of ice 4 miles long on each side, 64 cubic miles that melt and is added to the ocean. The ocean filled with too much water in the shores like in Louisiana cannot hold all that water, and coastal regions get flooded and destroyed. Climate change also causes more frequently and intense natural disasters such as hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, heat wave, and drought. So the question is, how do we stop this? Instead of burning fossil fuels, we need to convert to renewable energy such as solar and wind power, which is meet zero carbon emission when operating energy from the sun and the wind are infinite. Unlike fossil fuels, we will never run out of them. More solar energy falls on the earth in 1 hour than all the energy that our civilization consume in 1 year. Civil engineers from the Solution Project calculated that we could power most of the world with only renewable energy if we just exactly decided to do. If we cut back on people or station not only does that reduce the amount of fossil burned, but there will be more plants and forests actively absorbing carbon dioxide if we use more renewable and reusable resources. This will reduce the amount of energy needed to create new products. This will also reduce the massive amount of land filling, dumping that we do. What all sounds like great, efficient, and healthy idea, but how can I help personally? Right now, we can drive an electric or fuel efficient car, replacing your regular car with the Toyota Prius. The average person can prevent the emission of about 1 ton of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Now we all cannot afford to just buy new in different cars, so to help you can walk or bike, place, take public transportation, or if anything else of the accelerator and make your car as efficient as possible. Use energy efficient light bulbs, LED light bulbs. Use only a fraction of the power of incandescent light bulbs. Air dry your clothes instead of using power guzzling machine like dryer. Turn off electronics or light when you are not using them. Eat less meat or no meat at all by replacing an omnivorous diet with a vegan diet. The average person can prevent the emission of about 1.5 tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Reduce, reuse, recycle, and of course, spread your knowledge and concerns of climate change. Remember, climate change is very real and is drastically affecting planet Earth, our home, and although we are the problem, we can also be the solution.